So I have to be honest with you guys. This is pretty nerve-wracking for me. I mean, I'm not very good with public speaking, and standing up here at a huge platform like this, it takes a lot. And if I can do it, I'm sure you all can too. It took a lot for me to get up here today, and I've had to go through a lot of different difficulties in my life for me to be standing here right now. So for me to explain more about what I do, I'm going to go back to when we were kids. When we were in school and we used to go out with our friends, we used to go for the movies or we used to go out and play cricket with our friends or play some sport with them. And our mom used to keep calling us back home saying that, it's getting late, come back home, come back home. And, we used to be having so much fun that, you don't realize how the time flies. And, your tiredness actually hits you once you get back home and you're in bed. Have any of you ever experienced something like that when you all were kids? Yeah? So now let's flip that around. Okay, imagine yourself in your classroom and you're in the last class of the day and you're staring at the clock and you feel like time just freezes then. So that's exactly what I'm here to talk to you about today. How following your passion and doing something you love can make your time fly, can make it fun, and you can also turn that into profit. Hi, I'm Sheena Singhania Rathore, and I have a bakery called Project Cake by Sheena. I specialize in wedding cakes. I do 24-karat gold-plated wedding cakes, which sell for a few lakhs each. There's a lot of intricate work that goes into creating all of these cakes, so we charge for it accordingly. I also specialize in dietary restrictions. I specialize in nutrition. I'm also a wine sommelier. I also have an ice cream line in the northeast of India. I'm actually from Shillong. And sure, I have been featured in Forbes for my work. And yeah, I'm rated top 10 bakers of India. But what I truly love doing is creating something new and that brings a smile to people's faces. I grew up in a very small town and I came from a family that all had bakers. Like all my family members are bakers. I come from a very creative background. My grandmom was also a very, very good baker. And we used to make our own chips at home. We used to make our own wines at home. So, it was very easy for me to grasp this. In fact, I learned sifting for the first time from my mom. I was an average student in school. I was in a boarding school in Assam Valley. And finally, in my ISC boards, I scored 96% somehow. I think because my parents believed in me more than I believed in myself. And that's when, the confusion starts because when you get a really high percentage in your boards, all the doors open up for you. So that's the only thing I focused on. But once I got 96%, I started thinking about all these doors that opened up and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was never happy. I used to watch those shows when I was in school, all these college shows that I thought college would be like that. But I think I learned the hard way. And I always looked for something that inspired me, like something that I was interested to learn every single day. So finally, I finally joined Sri Ram College of Commerce. And in my final year, again, I started thinking, now what am I going to do after I graduate? And I told her that, Mom, now I'm in my final year. And yes, I've done this. If I study this further, I don't know what I'm going to be doing after this. So I used to go to the gym then. And I met this one lady who told me about the Culinary Institute of America in New York. And she told me her daughter really enjoyed going there. She's now selling ingredients for other bakers. And it just struck me that, gosh, this is something I've been doing since I was a kid. It comes so naturally to me. I don't think I would have to put extra efforts to learn this. So I went up to my brother behind my parents' back because I drove them crazy by changing multiple colleges already. And I went up to him and I told him that, I think I should apply here. And let's see, maybe I'll get in. If I don't, it's fine. But what if I do? And I did. And that was the best decision of my life because the college I went to taught me the science behind baking. It taught me the fundamentals. It wasn't just baking, like making a cupcake or making something, making a cake or a dessert. I learned about every ingredient that went into a cake. So that's really important. If you know the fundamentals of anything that you do, you can turn your talent to money any day. You just have to know your fundamentals and keep your core really, really strong. After I graduated from CIA, I came back to India and I started seeing the world differently. I started looking around and, wherever I saw something pretty. I've actually caught myself sitting down staring at flowers for hours. People call that daydreaming. I call that education. Because I used to look at the different colors, the different textures in every flower, any imprint, any print I saw around me. I used to think how I can incorporate that in a cake, any sculpture. I love painting. I was like, why not make that edible? So now I start painting on cakes. People have come to me and given me their photos and told me, please hand paint this. I'm creating a masterpiece. That's why I incline towards cake artistry. You have your bad days. You have, I've also reached the hospital multiple times because I've been so obsessed with my work and I've been wanting to achieve so much because this was my line. This was something I loved doing. That I forgot to eat, I forgot to drink. I've got criticized so many times. Like, sure, criticism is good for you, but not all people think the same way. There are people who may not have the same taste as you. Just take that as a feedback and just move on. Because once you start dwelling on every person's feedback, you're going to get totally crushed. Okay? Um, Also, when you do something that you love doing, all problems that come up are not actually challenges. It's just like a puzzle that you need to solve. And if you're sitting there thinking how you can turn your passion to profit, here are a few things that I learned. And I'm going to talk as per my line of work. You can apply this in any other line. So I started small. I started with Grub Fest. I started with Palette Fest. I wanted to understand the market. I wanted to understand what exactly worked. What was the gap? What was missing in the market? I used to lay down multiple desserts and I used to sit there and I used to watch what people were actually grabbing. It's mostly anything chocolate, by the way, guys. So I used to sit there and understand this. So that really helped me. I started gifting my family, friends, people in the gym cakes so that they get a taste of my cake. And yes, there were a lot of feedbacks, good, bad, and that helped me grow. So that's how I started. I didn't have an outlet because once you open an outlet right away, there's a lot of pressure on you. And the pressure actually, it spoils your creativity. You can't create that much, and especially in a creative line, you have to have a very clear mind. You have to surround yourself with people who support your work. Mentally you have to be very strong because if you get affected even a little bit, your creativity shuts down. So this is something that's really important and something that you have to keep in mind when you want to do something creative. So one more thing you have to keep in mind is which direction you want to go for. Like even in baking, in my line of work, there are multiple directions. I can get into catering. I could have gone into the designing of all the setups for the cakes. There are multiple directions that you can go for. But for me, cake worked, and that is where my skill was. After trying it out, I in fact realized that I had more skills than I thought I did. So you have to try it out. You have to start from home and make it your daily habit. Even if you're busy in a different job today or you're doing something else, in your free time, try to focus on things that you love doing because you never know how you can monetize that. Someday, some things might work out for you. Also, you should hire the right people for your work. I basically, when I first started making cakes, I didn't find anyone who was inclined towards this industry. I started like 8, 9 years back. They didn't want to get into the artistic bit of cakes, so I had to get creative. I hired mehendi artists, to do my piping work. And they were brilliant with it. I also hired sculptors, murtiwalas, to make my fondant figures. And that was a little different from what was in the market. So you have to get creative when you want to do something different and when you want to be on the top. Because everyone is already hiring everyone else. Everyone is already doing everything. You have to think different. You have to think outside the box. Also, one really important thing is the quality. I know you may be charging more for your product, or you may be spending more on your equipment when you start off, but it's going to take you a long way. You know, you're going to go a long way because people will always come back for more. In the beginning, when I started off, you know, when I started charging for my cakes, people were telling me that have you made this cake in the Taj Mahal or something, because, you know, why are you charging so much for it? But I stuck to my ground. Like, I made sure that I did not lower my rates. I knew my value. I knew that this is how much time I'm going to be investing in this. And these are the ingredients that I'm using in a product. Like, even for singing or anything, you have to know your worth. You should never lower your worth because the market is wanting you to lower it. You have to stick to your grounds and people will come to you. You just have to be patient. Also, I really didn't plan on earning from all these different modes when I started baking, and it's the same for any other industry. You know, when you're going and doing something that you love, along the way, you will realize that so many other avenues open up for you. Like, I wanted to reduce my costs in my cakes. I started making my own fondant, which was better for me because I could adjust the sugar, I could adjust everything. And people eventually started asking me if they could buy it from me. So now I have this one more avenue where I can sell fondant. You know, I've also bought myself a 3D printer because I'm searching for molds. Like, if I see someone's face, I can 3D print that and I can make that out of chocolate. So I tried finding some bigger, you know, silicone molds in the market, and I couldn't find it. So I bought myself a 3D printer and I started creating my own molds. And now I've just realized I can sell that as well. So that's another mode of income for me. And you know, this way, you don't even realize how things open up for you. You have to just keep going, and you know, grasp the opportunities when they come up to you. Also, I recently realized that I could teach as well. You know, because so many people out there are wanting to learn this line of work, but they don't have that opportunity to go to the Culinary Institute or to get the full education in this line of work or whatever you are doing personally yourself. So one last thing that you should keep in mind is you may not get paid for what you love doing in the beginning. You're doing something that you love, and the money will come, but you have to be really, really patient. You have to be really patient. And you should also always support the people in the same industry, because that's going to raise your standards. It's going to raise the standard of, like in my line, if I support my fellow bakers, it's going to raise the standard of all other bakers out there. And that will increase the competition, and eventually I will only get better with that. So that's really important. You know, don't put anyone else down, because that will backfire on you only eventually. And, you know, life is anyways too short to do anything but something that makes you really happy. You know, you have to feel like you have a purpose, and then you will give your 100% to it. Because if you don't like what you're doing, you're just going to do it for the heck of it. You're not going to give your 100%. If you love what you do, you will want to be on top. You will give your 100%. You will work day and night. You will wake up excited to do something that you love doing. And it will be rewarding. It will be. And well, if you can earn a lot of money out of it, then why not? That's all I had to say. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.